City administration has identified its preferred builder of the indoor turf facility. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Finway General Contractor is the recommended firm to build the proposed facility. The company's bid came in at around $36 million. That staff recommendation will be brought to City Council on Monday. Jessica Clement brings us the details.
Last fall, Finway, Tom Jones Corporation, and McDonald Brothers Construction were the three shortlisted companies that moved into the request for proposal stage for the indoor turf facility project. Over the winter, the companies developed designs and finalized bid prices. And after months of consideration, city staff have confirmed they're asking council members to award the contract to Finway.
There was quality points and then there was cost points. Ultimately, the proposal that's coming forward for recommendation got the highest number of points based on those two categories. Ultimately, it's really about how it works for the user groups and how it works from us for an energy efficiency standpoint and longevity. So those are all taken into consideration.
Capital Facilities Construction Manager Kelvin Jankowski says Finway's bid came under their $42 million funding cap at approximately $36 million. The hangar-style facility would be built next to the community auditorium. If approved on Monday night, Jankowski says the project will then need to be ratified the following week, with construction expected to begin soon after that.
We would proceed with executing contracts with Finway. They would go into detailed design with construction to commence sometime this summer and proceed over the winter, following completion sometime in fall 2026.
Jankowski adds that it's good to finally get the project moving.
I think in terms of this next step for us, it means that we're moving into the construction and we're looking at actual shovels in the ground. So that's always a positive move for us. And then moving on to the next project.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Thunder Bay Police released more details today about a weekend weapons incident at Intercity Shopping Centre. Officers were dispatched to the mall around 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon after an altercation involving a group of youth broke out in the food court area and a male teenager was apparently stabbed. He was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 3 other youth were located nearby and arrested. A 14-year-old boy has been charged with aggravated assault and possession of a weapon, while a pair of 15-year-old boys face assault charges. Cool weekend temperatures and rain helped the forest fire situation in northwestern Ontario, but the hazard level remains high in some parts of the region, particularly to the west near the Manitoba border. The restricted fire zone remains in effect, but the conditions over the long weekend helped firefighters protect communities near some of the largest fires. Kenora Fire 20 has been threatening Wabsumung First Nation, and the evacuation order there is still in effect. Crews from Ontario and BC are actively working to get that fire under control, and helicopters continue to tackle hotspots. A little further south, an evacuation alert put in place because of Fort Francis Fire 4 has been lifted, according to Fire Information Officer Chris Marchand.
And crews have since suppressed that fire to a degree that it's no longer posing a concern to life or properties or infrastructure in that area. Fort Francis 4 is still classified as not under control, though that's not really a reflection of the fire behavior, so much as an indication that it will just require more firefighting to ensure that to extinguish any remaining hot spots that won't flare up.
Marchand says the restricted fire zone is assessed on a regular basis. It's still unclear when it will be lifted. The leaders of Anishinaabe-Aski Nation called out the provincial and federal governments during the opening of NAN's annual spring meeting in Toronto. During his opening speech, Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler accused Premier Doug Ford of planning to use his new strong mandate to, quote, do whatever he wants to do.
And we're seeing one example of that with Bill 5. That he thinks he can just create what he calls economic zones and do whatever, disregarding everything. Disregarding our treaty, our rights, disregarding the obligations that he has in his government under UNDRIP for free, prior, and informed consent.
Chief Fiddler also pointed to potential threats on the federal front. Fiddler says he's extremely wary of Prime Minister Mark Carney's focus on economic issues during the campaign, with little mention of social issues or reconciliation. Fiddler says, coupled with the relationship between Ford and Carney, it leads him to believe there's been, quote, some sort of an understanding to implement their economic agendas.
And I am sure that in the days and weeks ahead, that we will hear more about what the federal government is doing or planning to do. And it's all under the guise of national security or economic security. And so these are real threats that we are going to be facing while addressing the many challenges that exist in our communities.
The 2025 Nan Spring Meeting continues until Thursday. Residents in the area of Dease Street near Vickers are trying to get a garbage-filled property in their neighborhood cleaned up, and they're getting fed up over the lack of action from the city. The homeowner at 1011 Dease Street passed away a few years ago, and since then the property has become a dumping ground for loiterers and squatters. Despite many attempts to reach out to city councilors and the bylaw enforcement office, neighbors say the issue has only gotten worse, and they want it dealt with once and for all.
It has been going on since COVID, when the owner passed away, and it has gotten worse and worse over the years. And I know that there have been people who have lived in the trailer, and there have been all kinds of like animals and rats. It's a danger to children, and this area is well walked. It seems to be on the route for many people. Children, people with dogs and pets. I just want it fixed because it's a health hazard, it's a fire hazard.
A supervisor at the city bylaw office confirms they have an active file on the property, and he says actions are being taken to address the issue. A municipal work order posted on the property warns the current owner to have it cleaned up by May 19th. That was yesterday, or face fines up to $10,000 a day. The province has announced 42 new justices of the peace, including 2 here in Thunder Bay. Desmond Barry served as a city police constable since 2015, most recently as an Indigenous liaison officer. The other new justice of the peace is Jesse Allen Soloway. He's worked with the OPP Communications Centre since 2007. The province also appointed 2 new JPs in Kenora and 1 in Dryden. A city police officer is being honored for saving a man's life while off duty. Constable Paul Kainalainen received the St. John Ambulance Life-Saving Award for rescuing a 97-year-old man who collapsed in a Walmart parking lot in December.
So I went and did an assessment, realized that he wasn't breathing, and began CPR. There were some members of the public that were around that were able to assist. Somebody brought out an AED from Walmart, and another bystander had already been on the phone with 911, so he was able to put that on speakerphone while I continued CPR and giving some information to the ambulance dispatchers.
Kainalainen says he was surprised and honored by the recognition, adding that he was glad to be in the right place at the right time. St. John Ambulance Board Chair Lauren Clifford praised the officer's quick actions and presented him with the award during today's Police Services Board meeting. Clifford says the award is given to those who engage in a life-saving attempt or a rescue.
This is a perfect example of a young police officer stepping up and doing exactly what they were asked to do. The heart of a volunteer is immense, and a person called to service always will honor that service, and that's exactly what St. John is recognizing here today.
Some local professional engineers recently teamed up with the underground gym to hold a popsicle stick bridge building contest. The main purpose of the competition was to introduce young, impressionable minds to engineering technology and foster their creativity. Ryan Graham has the story.
More than 30 youth teamed up in groups of 4 to design and build the strongest bridge they could with nothing more than 200 standard popsicle sticks and glue. Organizers from the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists were hoping this experience would perhaps encourage some youth to be enticed into a career in engineering, realizing that it is a reachable and viable path to pursue.
This offers us a great opportunity to give back to our community and trying to get the idea of science, technology, engineering, and math into the young people's minds. This is a really, really fun activity, and by testing the bridges and doing different geometry, it gives them an idea of what works and what doesn't. And hopefully it instills a little bit of an idea that, hey, maybe I'd like to do this for a living. You know?
At the end of the contest, each bridge's strength was tested to its limits to see how much weight it could hold. This was done by hooking a bucket of sand to the bottom of each one and increasing the bucket's weight until the bridge would break. Founder of the underground gym, Peter Panetta, was excited to see what each participant would learn from the day.
Yeah, it's just a creative event. The kids have to build bridges, and we're going to see who's got the strongest one. And yeah, we did this a couple of years ago. It was a huge success, and the kids love it. They have to come up with a plan. So they have to, and then they collectively together put something that works, that they think they'll work, and then see where it goes.
Panetta says there is a plan in place to renovate the second floor at the underground gym to provide different resources for gym members to explore and learn more about the technology and trades professions. Ryan Graham, TBT News.
Well, it's a good thing those bridges weren't built outdoors today, Haley, because temperature's not bad in the mid-teens, but that wind was pretty strong.
Yeah, if it was a swing bridge, it would be a testy test, that's for sure. Because, yeah, we did see wind gusts from the east today, making it feel even cooler than it actually was. Now, our high is 14 today. We just hit that at this hour, so it's been a bit of a progression to get to that point. And seasonally, we'd like our highs to be more around 18 degrees at this point. So a little underwhelming, but what I would still call comfortable if it wasn't for the winds getting gusty at times. Now, our low overnight was around midnight, and that did drop to the freezing mark at 0, with wind chills making it feel like -4. Luckily, that was when the wind was at its lightest, but still a bit of a brisk morning, that's for sure. A bit of a wake-up call earlier today, and we did have mostly cloudy skies. Now, for the region, we saw a mix of sun and cloud throughout the region, but those eastern winds were consistent throughout. They did play a factor, gusting around 30 to 40 kilometers an hour for most areas, and with a little influence from the south or the north once you get more to the eastern portions of our region. But for the most part, once again, slightly underwhelming, but close to seasonal day for a lot of areas. We saw areas like Red Lake hit 17 degrees for their high, so not too bad. They were mostly cloudy in Kenora as well, but a high of 16. A little on the cloudier side in Sioux Lookout, but down in Fort Frances, they have seen some nice sunshine today. And they're at 13 right now, which isn't too bad. Once again, very similar to what Thunder Bay's seen today, but a little bit more sun over there. Now, areas like Atikokan, Upsala, and up in Sioux Lookout, like I mentioned, they're at 14 right now. 15 is the trend surrounding those areas. And areas like Greenstone, although they're only at 12, it has been a nice boost for them. They did get a high of 14 earlier today, and their overnight low was -3 with a wind chill of -7. So they've had to warm up quite a bit, and they are mainly sunny at this hour, so not too bad. Now, 14 is the trend as we go north to eastern shores of Lake Superior. And it's just a mix of sun and cloud for the most part in areas like Wawa and Sault Ste. Marie. But once again, those gusty winds from the east, they were persistent, and they will continue to persist into tonight, as they could gust up to 50 kilometers an hour overnight. We're not seeing a dip like we normally do in our overnight hours. But temperature-wise, not too bad. A low of 6 in Thunder Bay, which is slightly above a seasonal low. So even though our daytime temperatures weren't everything we hoped it would be, an overnight low of 6 really isn't too bad under partly cloudy conditions. Now, for the rest of the week, Ryan, I can let you know we will get a little bit warmer, which is great to see. Still, you know, flirting with the seasonal high. We may not touch it quite yet, but hey, we're getting there, and it'll still be pretty comfortable.
All right.